I don't know what story he tells people. I'm only going to tell you the actual truth. And everyone can go back and fact check it because this is not what happened. Mumbai, you have to compromise, Chad. Compromise. What they're telling you is that, like, you're going to have to bend a knee at some point to get what you want. And I say it vulgar like that to make the point as clear as possible.
Yeah.
Because it started from the small seed that started to grow, that you allowed someone to compromise. And that's the problem.
There are names in music that spark admiration, and then there are names that spark controversy. Sanj Singh, better known as DJ Sanj, coined the original bad boy of Punjabi music in the 2000s. He didn't just make hits, he made headlines. From the streets of Toronto to the heart of Bollywood, for the first time, DJ Sanj pulls back the curtain. This is the raw, unfiltered truth about the industry, the culture, and the reality behind some of his biggest records. You're not ready for what he has to say.
Yo, you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, I'm sure. As long as I don't know Club Shay Shay, where you expecting me to cry or something.
Yeah, it's been like a decade, right? Like, times have changed, music has changed.
I'm a lot older and wiser now.
Yeah, but the stories are going to be the stories, right?
Well, if you want to hear the truth, then I'll give you the truth.
Yeah. No, this is the thing, right? Like, through the podcast I've done in the past, everyone holds back. As in, they'll tell me everything off camera, but then on camera...
Yeah, but that's because everyone's scared, right? Like, I don't know why they're scared, but they're just scared. I generally don't give a shit.
Why don't...
So it doesn't really matter.
Why do you think artists are scared? Because do you think the artist is a persona on camera? Or do you think the artist is someone that carries the persona off camera as well, but they have to protect the brand? Like Hulk Hogan, for example. Hulk Hogan is someone that will be Hulk Hogan off camera, on camera. He can't shake the difference between the two.
Yeah, I never had that problem. I was pretty much the same on camera and off camera because I thought it was so much of an effort to have like two personas or two faces, or it's just too much, man. Too much thinking. I prefer just to be myself. You like it? Awesome. You don't like it? I don't give a shit. So I never had that problem. And I don't care about people's feelings or opinions, except my own. So I would never, if you know, end of the day, when it came to the music part of it, the music did its work. If people like the music, enjoy it, the music would sell itself. It wasn't about me having to sell the music. I never thought of it that way. Whereas like a lot of the artists, one, I think most of them are pretentious. I think most of them are, you know, they're insecure. Maybe they love the gratification, the attention. They want everyone to like them. I went through the different phases in my career where I had people hate me, love me, hate me, love me. In my personal life, hate me, love me, hate me, love me. And you get to a point where like you have to make a choice. Do I care what other people think or I don't? And I generally don't. So with me, I have no filter. I don't self-regulate.
Would you consider yourself as being like a lone wolf?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because no one actually knows anything about you.
No.
Music's come out. The interviews done in the past were very, very basic.
Yeah. Oh, how'd you produce the song, or what's next coming out, or very generic, simple questions that were easy to answer. And so I answer them. It's like basically yes or no, you know, multiple choice, whatever.
Do you think Asian media is kind of lacking in that point to be able to get substance from artists? Like Asian media is scared to ask the elephant in the room. They'd rather keep the artist happy to keep bringing them in.
No, I think it's not Asian media. It's all media up until recently where like you need like a zinger or you need like some sort of like controversy. Everyone was like, I just want to be liked. I want everyone to like me. Especially I think the last 10 years, like when I left, we're looking at roughly, let's say 2012. So over 10 years, social media was starting to really grow. And I think the last 10 years, it's obviously exploded. And everything is online. Everything is about before going to Snapchat or your Instagram reels or stories. And what do they have now? TikTok and all this stuff. So everyone's just fighting for attention. And anyone who really knows me, I don't fight for anyone's attention. I'm happy just being alone. I could be alone. I'm happy. I don't need anyone's attention. I don't need anyone to tell me they like me. I don't need any sort of gratification from anybody. But obviously that I wasn't always like that. Like it happens over the course of your life and you make choices and you have to decide of what you want to like the aperture of my life, what I want coming in, I've adjusted. So I only let in what I want to let in my life. And so I don't have that problem.
Did you actually leave? the industry. And the reason I asked that is you said just then you left, right?
Yeah.
But then a couple of weeks ago, you dropped a poster saying, yo, American Desi is dropping.
Yeah, but that's after like a decade, right?
Yeah.
So I am going to be doing an album.
Yeah.
American Desi now, I think with when I left, the landscape was very different. I got tired. So basically, if you look at the history, we had cassettes and CDs. I come from the cassette and CD generation. And then it got into the illegal downloads, which then wiped out the cassettes and CDs.
Yeah.
And then it got into the 99-cent singles that you could buy online. And so what happened was the album died. It was all about singles. And everybody wanted to, and the labels that were funding everything were like, no, we need a Bhangra single to get live shows, and they would take a piece of your live shows. And so it got really repetitive and boring because you'd have to do a Dol Tumbi track for the UK scene or to get wedding shows and say like in India and stuff. And so I just got so bored and fed up. And there's only so much you can do of it.
Yeah.
Right. And then I missed the album where like you could take people on a journey. You have your Bhangra track, and then you got your R&B hip hop style, a romantic song, maybe some different flavors, and you could explore a lot of things on an album. Now that's come back, I feel like. 'Cause like now people will actually, no one pirates anymore. They're streaming, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Music, or they're checking out stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so now they've got the time to explore, and they're not paying for it really, right? In their mind, they think it's free. And so they get the time and explore whatever they want to do, and whatever they want to do with their time, they can do that. So I think now I can do an album that I want to do that, that will reflect where I am in my life and what I think about my career, because I've had an interesting career, I think.
We'll talk about kind of the career later on, right? But I want to kind of just dig into this album right now, right?
Okay.
You've been away 10 years.
Yeah. Times
have changed.
Yeah, I agree.
It's before producers were like the face of albums and tracks, etc.
Yeah.
You're not anymore. It's singer-led.
Yep, 100%.
Right? But do you still think you can compete with what's coming out right now?
I don't need to compete because the thing is, like, I'll do the album. Let's say, like, I got American Desi Legacy. So there's part 1 and part 2. 15 songs. And I'm going to take people on a journey. Now, if you want to come along that journey with me, awesome. If you don't, no problem. There's plenty of music out there you can listen to. Yeah. You don't have to listen to mine.
But what would define as it being a successful project? Because in the past, you've had anthems that still get played at weddings and clubs, etc. Now,
that's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
So now for me, because it's a challenge, I'm interested. Yeah. If it wasn't a challenge, I wouldn't be interested. And I love the higher the stakes for me, gets me out of bed. Like, for example, now I basically, let me go back. So last 10 years, I've experienced happiness. I've got a great life, right? A lot of love around me. I'm very comfortable. I don't really need or want for anything. Now, 10 years of that, right, has basically made me, like I joke around and I say, happiness has killed me, or is killing me, because I look at my bloods, my cholesterol's up. Yeah. I drink, I eat whatever I want. I don't go to the gym. Why bother going to the gym? I'm relaxed, I'm chilling. So I realize now at 50, right, that happiness doesn't suit me. It doesn't make me the best me. I need constant challenge. I need chaos. I need something I can fight against to get me out of bed in the morning, to watch what I eat, get to the gym. And like, for example, in the last, I think since we decided we were going to do this interview, I've lost like 15 pounds. Yeah. And so I'm now going to get in the best shape of my life by summer, right? That's my goal. I'm fixed. I'm like, I don't want to be that fat old uncle on TV, or that, you go to I remember as a kid, I'd go to the nightclubs when you're in your 20s, and there's that old uncle that's sitting at the bar, and you're like, what's he doing here? Like, it's so shady and creepy. I'm like, I ain't going to be that guy, right? And so now it's about the challenge. And you're right. Maybe no one listens to the music, or maybe it blows up. But for me, that's what makes it exciting. Like, I want the odds stacked against me. I want everyone to say every rational thing, saying, why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. No one's interested. Yeah. Like Dr. Dre's dropped an album with Snoop Dogg. LL Cool J just dropped. Exhibit's just, all these old guys, right? But they don't have the same punch they used to, right? In the releases. As like an up and coming or the new hot thing at the moment or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it exciting for me. It makes me like, okay, let me really think how I want to do this, and let me see how I want to approach it. And at worst, I get in the best shape of my life. I get excited, and I give it a go, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not too fussed about that. Like in the end, I have a very good track record of not losing. I don't lose. Why? Because I put it in the work, and I don't have any fear as far as like I'm not insecure. I don't care. I don't filter. I don't self-regulate. I don't do any of those things. So for me, it's like, okay, let's give it a go. See what happens. If not, go fuck it. Whatever.
Yeah. You said something about, making new music, new challenge, etc.
Yeah.
But when you look at kind of the wedding seasons and the wedding sets,
Yeah.
they're not playing new music. They're still playing music, which is like the majority of the sets are music when you left and prior to that.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that, right?
Why do you think that is?
The biggest challenge we had as artists in my generation was distribution.
Yeah.
For example, I started from making bootleg CDs and cassettes, driving to all the Indian shops or Desi shops and selling them wholesale and whatever. So I understood the whole business model. You sell your cassette for X amount of dollars, the customers buy it for X amount of dollars, then you get a reorder and you go and do that, right? So the physical sales, that's all gone. So the issue now is, because it's available everywhere, right? There's so much content. Everybody who can make a song now. So to build a recording studio, when in my generation was like $10,000 minimum. Yeah. Now you can go buy the software, download pirate software, make it on your laptop, get some, you get a whole section of loops you can buy online, and you can actually record everything at home. No problem, right? And you can upload it. Distribution solved. So now, worldwide, your music's available at the click of a button. Yeah. That never happened in my generation. That was never possible. You had a record label. They would fund it. They would do the music videos. They would handle distribution. They would handle collecting the money, that whole process. That's all gone. So now, because there's so much music, and now everyone's attention span is shrunk because of social media. Like, we're down to shorts. Can you believe that? Like, from long form video down to shorts, like 20-second clips, 30-second clips. People's attention span is so short. So there's so much content out. People just go and do this content so quickly, and in their mind it's free. It doesn't cost them anything. They're not invested in it. Whereas the evergreen song is gone. Though I don't believe there'll ever be any evergreen songs anymore. But the songs that we did at that time, they've now become generational. Yeah. So, like, say Dusja, for example. Your grandfather knows it, your auntie knows it, your chachi knows it, your nephew knows it. Like, everybody knows that through multiple generations. I don't see that happening over the next 20 years. Like, I don't know. I ask people this question: what song is playing right now, brand new, that will get played 20 years from now? And the answer is, I have no idea. Yeah. Right? And most people don't. They don't, because there's just so much content out there. But then the content's going so quickly, no one can get attached to anything. No one can build memories on that content. Yeah. And so it will never be evergreen. So that's how I look at that whole thing.
Now, let's talk about the bootlegs. And now we'll go to the start of your journey, because obviously that's kind of a very, very kind of thing that no one knows about. Yeah. Like, the bootlegging journey was the start, or was it before? Or was there a journey before? Like, why did you decide you want to go into music? Because for my generation and like the next generation, it's easily accessible. You came from Canada, which had no music scene.
No.
The only thing that...
It was just underground.
There was nothing there.
Hindi remixes.
There was nothing in Canada. So did you even how did you even get access to music from the UK? And then number two, it's like, how did you then decide, okay, you know what? I want to go into music.
Even today, I asked that question to myself. And so this is the best answer I can come up with. When I was a kid, my parents loved listening to music, right? And this is before, there weren't that many distractions like 30, 40 years ago, right? Like, you had either some TV and radio, and that's it. It's like, I mean, the video games were like Atari 2600. Like, that's it.
That's before me. That's
right?
way before me.
Yeah. So my parents would listen to UK. Like, my parents were like Alap fans, Hira fans. And so me growing up in Canada was very like the language issues, the cultural issues between Western and, our heritage. And so it was the one kind of bridge. We're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I like listen to that stuff. It's got some beats to it. It's a little bit Western, but it's still Punjabi. And so I enjoyed it. And then I remember listening to this cassette in a car, at a friend's car. We were driving down Extra Hot 1. And it had that Apna Sangeet Mega Mix in there. And had some of my Bollywood dialogues and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is cool, right?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I would love to do this, right? And so I remember I got footage of me at 14 with like 2 cassette decks, a mixer. And I'm trying to mix with cassette decks. Forget turntables.
Yeah.
I had like one cheap turntable and I would do this thing on it. And I just enjoyed it as like a hobby. It was fun. And then I remember Dali Sigoo's Wham Bam came out and there was Extra Hot 5. And those was like, oh, this is cool. And then I had a friend of mine I grew up with, and we started on little DJ. We were like cool DJs, and it kind of evolved from there. And then my first gig was I think I was 17. I wasn't even like legal age to get into a club, and we were flown to LA in February. First time I've ever been to LA, and in February, and I was like, there's palm trees and there's no snow, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing, and I'm like, I want to see the rest of the world. So then I got a hunger for like, what's out there? And I thought the best way for me to go travel the world was like, I want to be a DJ and music producer because then I can go travel the world for free.
Yeah.
And that was my thinking, as naive as what it was. But I was very, this is cool. I'm going to do this. And then at that time, like you said, there was no like labels. There was no nothing. So everyone goes, look, and my dad would say, just study, get your education, get a job, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, no, because I was a dreamer. And so I was like, I'm going to do this. And the more people said, you're cuckoo, are you crazy? The more I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, I don't know, like what the youngsters would know this, like, there's like, Back to the Future. And there's Marty McFly. And in those films, his issue was when you call him chicken, he couldn't like walk away. And that's like me. People said, you couldn't do it. Or you can't do it. And I'd be like, oh no, I'm going to do it now. Like the more you told me I couldn't do something, the more I'm going to do it. And I was very stubborn. And that led me into like digging myself a hole, basically. Go, no, I'm going to do it now. I've said I'm going to do it. Now I have to do it. And I would just keep doubling down until I ended up on Soho Road.
But before that, sorry, we mentioned Soho Road, right? There's a clip of you online.
Yeah.
And someone shared it and it's in a club. And there's you, there's Russell Peters, there's these other Canadian DJs.
The DJ competition. Yeah.
Like,
and you can tell I had attitude back then. Like you watch that clip, I was a little spunky kid with a lot of attitude.
But then with that, right? Like, was that the start of this Canadian movement? Because
so we were part of this underground scene when you had like, these Desi kids would go to like a daytimer jam and then we wanted to play something that we were doing like locally, right? And there were a handful of us DJs and local artists and it was very DJ led. There was no singers or anything. The only singer out of Canada at the time was Jazzy B. There was no one else that like I was aware of, right? And it was our scene and we thought we were cool, right? Like remember, I'm like a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid thinking, yeah, man, I'm cool, right? Like, and so that was the kind of start. And then I just wanted to keep going. And everyone else kind of like got a real job and listened to their parents. And I was like, nope, I'm going to do this. And it just kept.
Do you think you guys got your flowers? As in, the ones that started the Canadian movement?
Yeah.
Do you think they got their flowers from forget music for a second.
When you say flowers, you mean credit?
Credit, yeah. Because this is.
No.
You, in my opinion, was never Canadian led. To me, growing up, it was Sanj is from the UK.
Yeah.
He's releasing these projects later on. We'll talk about America's Most Wanted, etc. later on. But to me, he was a British artist.
Yeah.
But the reality is you wasn't. You are a Canadian who's come to England with like those kind of North American ideas.
Yeah, but I was the only one. Yeah. So when I came to England, that was 99, 2000. The only other Canadian that I remember at the time was Jazzy B. But he was a singer, right? And also Jazzy is originally from India. Like he was born in India, right? I was, 2 years old when I came to Canada. I was born in England.
Yeah.
And so when I came to England, it was like awakening because in the UK, it was like almost like a prejudice. Like you're from Canada, you don't know anything about Bhangra music. So please don't try. Like don't do it. And we don't want you here.
Was that artists or labels?
Artists and audience.
Yeah.
Because and so that's why like the first album I remember like there's like the whole story with the first album like So my plan was basically, so Roma Music Bank had like Safri and AS Gang and a bunch of like all the classic UK Bhangra bands, right? And so I thought, okay, what if I just remix all these songs from one label and then pitch that label, to release it?
Yeah.
So that was my idea.
And you was in the UK at the time?
No, I was in Canada.
Okay.
And so Roma Music had an office in Vancouver. And the guy who ran that was really good to me. He goes, Sanj, and he was an amazing guy. And so he goes, look, I like the idea. Let's do it. So I made the album. And then what happened was we were going to release it in Canada. We're going to do this big launch and everything. And then there was a promoter from LA, one of those shady promoter guys. And he went to England and he knew that I was doing this album. And he went to the label in England and said, oh, there's this DJ from Canada, Sanj, and he's basically going to release a bootleg of all your stuff. And they're like, no, you can't do that. And so I got a phone call saying that basically we're going to sue you if you put this album out.
Yeah.
I said, okay. How about if I give it to you for free, the album for the UK? They go, what do you mean? I said, take the album. I don't, you make money, but here's the deal. Here's the catch. If it does well and you make money, all I'm asking is you fly me down to do interviews and promotion. I'll sell myself over there. No problem. And they said, okay, no problem. And that was the one with the eyes on it. It was, Asian Boys Club, North America's Best, and all this kind of
stuff. That was two versions, right? One was called North America's Best.
Yeah, so it got released on Envy
and
Roma Music Bank at the same time because there were like internal politics with that. But there were two versions of that album.
Yeah.
And then the Anamika Bolia, which I shot with Jazz Anamika, who was originally from England, but then he moved to Vancouver. And we shot that with like a $15 mic.
Yeah.
We recorded it with a $15 mic in my bedroom. And then Binder was on that, Jazz was on it. And we did some Tol, Tumbi, and it was like some, Desi Bolia, simple, right? And then that was a new, like not a new record, but it was like, my take on that Bolia. And then the rest was all hits from Roma, all remixed by me. And then that album did really well. It took off. And so then they flew me down. And then I remember being on the cover of Eastern Eye and doing, I was remember like...
How old was you when they flew you down?
I must have been 23, 24, around there, early 20s.
Okay.
Yes, it's going back quite a time. But and then so then it did well. And then I said, okay, now I had a taste for it. And I said, okay, what's the next step? And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to do like what we call original album, like, where we do all the music from scratch. And I went to India, recorded some vocals, and I spent a year making Master of Destiny.
Okay.
Right. And so
how did you get access to India now? Like, I want to kind of go back because you're now in the UK.
Yeah.
His first album's done well.
No, it wasn't in the UK yet.
Oh, so
I visited the UK and I came back.
They came back.
Yeah.
So that project...
And I started working on Master of Destiny. Sorry.
So now Project 2 is on the works.
Yes.
Have you got a record deal at this point or no?
For Master of Destiny, there was kind of like a record deal in place. Like you do it, we'll take it.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay.
Which label was that?
Envy.
Okay.
Right. So because I think they were surprised that the first album did well.
Yeah.
And then they kept their word, right? They flew me down and whatever, right? And so then we did Master of Destiny. And then I was like proud that I spent a year on it.
Yeah.
I bought all these roll-in sound modules to get like the nice pianos and synthesizers. And and recorded all the vocals, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then we put the album out and it tanks. And I was like, oh shit. So this is what it's like when it tanks, right?
Okay, when it tanks, what's the conversation like with the label? I think, like, are they just saying, look, it just didn't sell? Or are they saying, look, bro, it's just not a good product?
I think everyone liked the product. In retrospect, you got 2020 vision, right?
Yeah.
Like, I understand where the mistake was. But so I did this one album and people are like, okay, this is Sanj guy. He's like, he's done this kind of sound. The follow-up, it should be similar to the first one. I went a completely different direction, which was off-brand.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I didn't understand what off-brand meant. But Master of Destiny, if you were to go back and listen to it now, it is off-brand from DJ Sanj.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound like a DJ Sanj album. It never will. And so I never understood that at that time. It was off-brand. And then...
when...
And then I also, when Master of Destiny came out, is when I just moved to England.
Yeah.
Living on Soho Road above a shop.
Okay.
Right. So it was like a really devastating loss because I'm like, I'm coming here. I'm going to smash it. I'm going to bang out hit records. I'm going to take over like in my mind. Right.
Yeah.
And then it tanks. I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't go back because it's like, I can't show my, I can't fail. Like, I just can't.
Do you know when like a product tanks?
Yeah.
Like, I want to talk about record labels because this current generation don't understand what record labels are, what they did,
Yeah.
how the structure worked, etc. So you've given them a product.
Yeah.
They bought the product
Yeah.
essentially from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get paid?
Yeah. I got
Okay.
paid.
For the product.
Yeah.
Now it tanks.
Yeah.
Now, is it a conversation with the artist being like, hey, it's tanked. It's your fault. Or is it the record label's fault? Whose fault is it that a project fails?
In general, I hold myself accountable for everything.
Yeah.
I believe in accountability. My album, if it doesn't sell, it's my fault.
Yeah.
The label's out to make money.
Yeah.
They want the album to sell.
Mm.
And because they paid me in advance, they want their money back.
Okay.
So I didn't blame the label, right? Like most people would be like, they're like, oh, my music's amazing.
Mm.
I put so much heart and soul into it and effort that it can't be my fault. It's your fault. You didn't market it properly. You didn't distribute it properly. Or no, it's not the label's fault. It's the people's fault. They don't understand what good music is, right? And so you find someone to blame. I blame myself. And if I didn't blame myself, I wouldn't improve.
Yeah.
And I find that in general, in life, the people that find blame in others don't improve or don't correct their behavior or don't learn anything new.
Mm.
But when you blame yourself and you're forced to look at yourself and think, okay, what did I do? You break it all down. And you think, okay, where did I go wrong? And then you correct, you course correct, and then you come up with something better.
Yeah.
And so then what happened was, so the Master Destiny Tanks had a conversation with the label. They go like, Sanj, listen, why you put out this album? Why you're great at mixing, remixing, sampling, this, that.
Yeah.
Just do an album like that.
Yeah.
And we're making a joke. So one of the guys that signed me at Envy, Raj, he goes, look, I remember this. I'm in the Envy shop. So Envy used to have a shop on Soul Road. I lived above the shop.
Yeah.
And so the studio was above there. And then above the studio was my little like hobbit hole, which is basically like, it had 5.5 foot ceilings.
Yeah.
And I used to walk around like a hobbit. And it was all purple for some reason. I don't know why, but it was purple. And I walked down the stairs and I was living on, I think, £500 a month.
Yeah.
And that's it. Right. And no gigs because no one wanted to book me. They go like, this guy from Canada, how long is he going to last? Right.
But do you think that was because the second album tanked?
I think it was a combination of factors. One is that like people there's a lot of people that were unhappy that the first one did well.
Yeah.
Right. And then, and some of I guess some of the band members didn't like the fact that their stuff got remixed. Right. Because that wasn't happening at that time with some of the stuff I did. Yeah. Right. And so I think overall, when I did, Pure Hip Hop 1.
That's the turning point.
Yeah. The turning point. So that was when I clued on. I was like, okay.
So Pure, I want to talk about Pure Hip Hop 1 kind of more depth because, and I think this is where the interview actually starts for me now.
Yeah.
Because that was my introduction to Sanj.
Yeah.
Because we're growing up in this Western society. In my opinion, the band era has now finished.
Yeah.
The bands are now done.
Yeah.
They're not releasing no more music. There's no more hits.
Oh yeah, they were upset with all the DJs coming up.
And now there's like the B21 kind of things coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now Sanj has now dropped Pure Hip Hop 1.
Yeah.
But it's what he's dropped. It was the next episode, which was huge.
And it blew up, yeah.
And then you got Atumbi and Dippa the Sanj.
Yeah.
The guy from Dolla Ve Dolla.
Yeah.
And that song just blew up.
Yeah. It was uncanny and weird.
Yeah.
But so the story with that was I set up the studio at Envy.
Yeah.
Right. I was going to be the in-house producer. And I said, okay. So I sat down. I was sitting with Raj at Envy. And he goes, listen, I guarantee you, he goes, just sample a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Throw some fucking crazy Bhangra songs on there. Like, Punjabi language tracks. And I said, okay. And so I had like literally like a revolving, singers would come in and I'd pick songs. I would go through songs, ideas and stuff. And I would just start slamming recording vocals like nonstop, like every day.
Was this your studio or Envy studio?
But my equipment, their place.
Okay.
Right. So it wasn't like I had great equipment, but I had some equipment. So I brought it all with me. And, but it was their space. Right. And it was crazy because everyone's coming in. They're dropping vocals on a click track. We call it click track, where it's just dick, dick, dick. And they'd be like, ding, 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 like just a note so they can say, and that's it, right? And then I would go, okay, I'm gonna slap down beats. And then and at that time it was cool because like Dave Raj Jussel, who would record Tumbi El Gozi for everybody, right? He lived like down the road.
Yeah.
So he'd come over. And I said, okay, hello, sir. Let's just bang out some tumbis, some, El Gozis. Let's do all this stuff, right? I'm excited. Mandolins, whatever, right? It's all there. And so we do that. And the joke was, Raj and Emmy was like, I guarantee you'll do this album in 10 days and it blows up. Where he spent a year on the Master of Destiny. He goes, waste of time. He goes, just do it this way. And literally, it took me 10 days, did the album, blows up. Sells like record numbers, right? Yeah. And I was like, okay, now I was like, I get it now. I get it. And then I was like, what's next?
But before we get to next,
yeah,
why Dipper?
Big fan, Dola Victola.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was so it was funny because like he's sitting in the studio. I'm like, oh yeah, this is so cool, man. Like,
yeah.
I was playing. My dad was playing Tola Victola. He loved it. I loved it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I said, we're gonna do a sick record, right? Yeah. And I had so much energy. Like I was like excited. Like I was like, yeah, man, we're gonna do this. And but no one really expected it to do as well as it did.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, what's next?
Okay.
Right?
So before we talk next, now let's talk about kind of it's now projected you upwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're in Envy. You're the only Canadian on that label.
I'm the only Canadian, period.
Okay.
Not label, period.
Okay. Now, is the label looking inwards, as in the kind of the roster? Are they now looking more towards you now? Like, this guy's done something different? Because apart from you, right, the garage sound came slightly later, the RDB sound. So at the minute, it was just like kind of desi hip hop.
I don't think it was even desi hip. What was the scene back then? I mean, you had Legalized came out, I think, at that time, which blew up, right? And Punjabi MC, like, I mean, he was an influence for sure, right?
Do you agree with the statement that he walked so you lot can run? Like, he paved the way for a lot of DJs through his sound.
You can say that, but then like you have to start from like, well, who paved his sound, right? Yeah. Like paved the way for his sound. Then you'd have to say, well, the UK bands were instrumental, right, in my influence. And then I can tell you the albums. It was Extra Hot 1, Extra Hot 5, Wham Bam, and then Bally Sagoo. And then there was PMC released a rap tape before Legalized and all that. He was doing like the hip hop and the rap and stuff. I can't remember, a Sellout, another Sellout, like that before Legalized came out. So those were like, okay, this is cool. Like this is cool, right? When Legalized came out, I was already developing what I want to do. But I was like, oh, that really worked. Like Mundi the Bunch was a massive hit. Mirza was amazing. And so I was like, okay, so this is what's working. And I never considered myself an artist. I was an entertainer. I'm going to entertain people. I have to convince you to spend £5 for a cassette and £10 for a CD. Yeah. So how do I do that? Yeah. So that's my thinking was very different than everyone else. Everyone else is like, what am I feeling today? Oh, I'm an artist. I want to express myself and blah, 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 blah. Nice. And so my thing is I want to entertain people, because if I entertain people, then I'm going to get shows. I'm going to DJ. I'm going to get paid, and I can make a living. Because my whole thing is I have to make a living at some point, right? I don't have a job. This is what I'm doing. And so, so when hip hop blew up, Pure Hip Hop Volume 1, at the label, people didn't know what to make of me. I speak differently. I act differently. I don't have anything in common with them. I wouldn't sit with them because they would go home to their house, whether they're living with their parents or the comfort of their home. They'd have food on the table that their mom would make, right? I had none of that. I remember for 8 months on Soho Road, you'd walk down the street and there'd be like Iceland, where all frozen food. All I could afford was they had frozen cubes of parsley and fish, right? You dip it in boiling water, right? After 15 minutes, you cut it up, and it's a sloshy,
like prison food, basically.
Yeah, and I would eat that, and then on the Friday there was an off license on the corner liquor store, and they knew me really well. And they goes, "Hey, Sanj," I said, "Listen, I can't afford much. What's the cheapest, drink you got?" And there was like WKD, these like blue drink, and I would get that with the cheapest, nastiest vodka they'd have, like a Mickey, and I'd mix them together. And Friday night would be like, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to have a few drinks. And that's like my decompression. Yeah. Right. And then it's just day and night, back to work, right? And so that was my lifestyle for 8 months. So I didn't have the luxury everyone else had because they live in the UK. They're family, friends. I had no family and friends.
Did your parents know what you're going through?
I think I told them later.
Yeah,
but you don't want to tell your parents stuff like that
But
because the thing is, like, all they're gonna do. Because you remember, I was, top grades in high school, scholarship to university, finished my degree, and I was gonna become a lawyer. And now I'm eating parsley and fish, and I'm living off 500 pounds, living on Soho Road, which is, I got people doing shop on like the alleyway where I'd walk in and out of my unit. Like, it's like, it's not the best look, right? And so I'm not gonna go tell my parent, and I don't whine or cry to anybody, but I'm just not that guy. Like, oh, like a boohoo banda. Like I always say, oh, you're such a boohoo banda. Like, what are you gonna cry for?
Yeah.
I have no problem. Like, do I cry? Yes, but you know what I do? I go to a corner and I cry by myself, get it out of my system, and then I come back.
Yeah.
And that works for me. I don't know what anyone else, but I'm just not a feel sorry for you kind of guy. And so let's get back to work. And so all the artists, they didn't know what to make of me. And I wasn't interested in being anyone's friend.
Yeah.
I was just like, listen, I got work to do, man. I got stuff to do. Right? You go hang out with your friends, go do your thing. I got stuff to do. And then after Hip Hop 1,
this is it, America's Most Wanted.
And then the America's Most Wanted. I think we call it North America's Best.
So then let's talk about this new concept you brought out, because it wasn't just now Sanj. You've come out with this brand called America's Most Wanted.
Yeah. Well, I think it was America's Most Wanted. Or we call it North America's Best. I can't remember the first one. Like,
this is where
the Canada version was different.
Yeah.
And then the UK version was different. But like going back, like,
but this is that song
A&W, yeah. So we're talking Tenu Bolundee, right?
Yeah, Tenu Bolundee. Okay. This is now kind of like change the game again, because now it's not just Sanj on a track.
Yeah,
it's not like a UK artist. You got the legend Surinder Shinda.
Yeah,
and this isn't Shinda's folk sound that everyone's used to from Port Jattande to Bari Kolke. This is Shinda on a different sound.
Yeah, so there's a crazy story with that. So first of all, like when I wanted to do like North America's Best, or like that was my tagline, Sanj North America's Best, and then it was America's Most Wanted, right? Because I lived in Dallas. I went to high school there, so I was like, okay. I traveled quite I grew up in a lot of different places, so I thought North America. Well, I grew up in Canada. I grew up in America. Okay, North America, fine. But because I went through all these struggles in the beginning, I always believe in teamwork and bringing your team with you. And so I built this team of guys, like all the, from Binder to Harv to Cal and everyone, right? And so I wanted to promote everyone, give everyone a platform that I had, that I was building. Yeah. And everyone was like, yeah, we're part of this crew, ride or die, and all this kind of stuff. So you're like, okay, cool. And I remember, so when I was at Envy at the studio, there'd always be opportunities for like singers popping by or people that are coming from Punjab going, I got an ADAT. The ADAT was like a VHS tape that had 6 or 8 tracks, and there'd be a vocal, a tumbi or tolki or whatever, right? So that's how they did it back then. It wasn't like it was on a computer back then and you could have 50 tracks, 60 tracks like it is now. Yeah. It was like really old school. And so people would come to the studio and there would always be all these opportunities. So I remember that I think it was me, we're in the studio, guy comes in, he goes, I got the ADAT. And so we go through the songs. And because I had the hit, right, Envy was like, listen, give the guys the first choice, right? Because a little bit, you can tell there's a little bit of like, oh, this guy like drops Master of Destiny, bombs, and then now all of a sudden he's blowing up with this Pure Hip Hop 1. And then I was also like in-house. So they felt the label was favoring me, right? Because I was also like responsible for doing other projects and compilations and stuff like that. And so I said, yeah, fine. So I went through the ADAT first. And I go, oh, I know what song I want. Right? So I already knew the song. And I remember the other two going through the thing and picking out their songs. And they were so excited with their pick. And I would just go, don't pick my song. Don't pick my song. Don't pick my song. Right? And they were like, they got excited because they're like, oh, Sanj's got the shit song. And I remember them just looking at it and go, oh, that song's shit. What's he going to do with that? Right? And that was Tenu Bolundee. And so because it's actually lyrically it's a depressing sad song, right? And I was like, oh yeah, I got it, right? So when I was producing it, I was like, I remember like DJ Funk back in the day. He had this DJ Funk, this bootleg which had like Billie Jean in the background bass line, and like DJ Funk, and then the beat and everything. I was like, oh yeah, I want to do that vibe, right? And so put the Dole sample on there, the Tumbi, and then the bass line. We played the bass line, right? And so, and in the beginning, you had the share in the beginning, and I wanted it just blank. Everyone's like, put music behind. I said, no, just blank. The vocal's so bad, I don't want to mess with the vocal. I just want it just by itself. And then it, the record spins backwards, and it just kicked in, right? And then we did the whole rest of the album and stuff like that. And so when that song came out, I remember we shot the video, and we're all hanging out, all of us at Envy and stuff, and no one really knew what to expect. And then I remember they had Z Music Box or whatever it was called back then. And at that point, it was like a dial-up system where you could dial up and vote for the song you want to play next. And when it came out, it was crazy because it was literally like Tenu Bolundee was playing all day on the channel. And then everyone's like, who's calling up? Like, Sandra, are you calling up? I said, I can't afford to call up. It's 75p a song. I said, I can't afford to call up. I ain't calling up. Are you calling up? Like, we ain't paying for that. Like, who? So we're all like, who's calling up? And we're realizing it's the people, like the fans. And then Z Music Box calling us, like, are you guys calling up? It's just, they're getting inundated with phone calls of playing the song over and over that it got played so much that Z Music Box put in the policy, no song can repeat for 2 hours.
Let's hold it.
So Tenu Bolundee was the song that they're like, wait a minute. This is like, we weren't expecting this, right? And people are calling up for it, and it just blew up. Like, it just went massive. And at that point, then you're looking at Nam Cambodia comes out, then next episode comes out, and then Tenu Bolundee comes out. And so my star was just going like this. And all of a sudden bookings are flying in. Everyone's like, what's going on here? Like,
but now, like I want to go back to the video before we kind of move on from there. The video had kind of the Envy roster in that video. So were relationships now improving, or was it still Sanj is still kind of the black sheep, and these guys are just there?
I was always trying to be a team player. Yeah. And, they were like, Envy was like, so what happened was with all the labels, we called them all the uncle labels, because all the labels were owned by uncles, the older generation. Right. And so we were the only label, which is a bunch of young guys running it. And so we were doing everything differently. We were doing everything at that time, edgy, cool. And we were geared towards the college crowd. Yeah. And the other labels were like producing stuff and releasing stuff that was aging out of the scene. Right. So when we say, okay, bring in whatever the new talent is, let's feature them on the video, right? It was also cost effective because it's like a marketing, like this video is a marketing tool for all our new acts, and on the back of it, right? And so although that record everyone believed in. Once I finished it, everyone's like, no, this is gonna go, right? It had that vibe to it, and I remember when I met Surinder Shinda for the first time, he was like, he's like, you know what, like, I forgot I even did this song, and what you did to it has given me a second life. He goes, I get booked to Australia now. I get booked to all these different places that I haven't been to in years. And he goes, all of a sudden, Tenu Bolundee. And that's why I had this footage of him singing Tenu Bolundee live, where he's going, hit song, right? Because even he was like, this is like the last song he'd imagine would become a hit, right? And so it was an exciting time. Like, that is when you're winning, it's exciting. Yeah. Right. Like, it's awesome. Yeah. It's such a high. Right?
Then obviously from this song now. the bookings are coming in.
Yeah.
Money's coming in.
Have
Have you moved out of the loft yet, or are you still there?
No, I'm still there.
Cool.
I'm still there, grinding, suffering.
Yeah. Then comes out the next project, which is America's Most Wanted 2.
Yeah, was that after? I can't remember.
So America's Most Wanted 2 came out. And then
that was it. Yeah. We had.
But now it's no longer Sanj on the cover.
No, it's like we put everyone.
There's loads of people on the cover.
Yeah.
So obviously America's Most Wanted 1 or North America's Best had other faces on there, but still, it's Sanj at the forefront.
Yeah.
Now it's
my crew, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm coming from there. I wanted my crew.
Yeah.
Because everyone in England was like very cliquish.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let me in.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me. They were never asking me, hey, why don't you come? You know, you're eating parsley and fish. Not once did anyone ever ask me, why don't you come to my house for dinner? Hey, bro, you know, we know you're up there. All they wanted was, can you produce my song and give me some hits? And I don't communicate with those people because they were in it for themselves. There was no compassion. There was no teamwork.
Yeah.
There was no like, hey, bro, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So go fuck yourself. I was like, go fuck yourself. I got my crew.
Yeah.
Right?
So did you ghost produce for other producers?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I was giving them hits. And so when they were being oka with me, I was like, dude, I'm the last person you want to do that with because I have a mouth on me, right?
You ghost produce for other...
Yeah, so I go, that's what my job was. My job was to facilitate product for the label. And so I was putting out so much content that even my own content and then basically I remember doing like a album, working on like compilation albums, and then I had my own stuff. And then I also was like, I used to go along with the label, like with Raj and stuff. We used to distribute. I was along for the ride for distribution because I wanted to know what the margins were for the CDs, cassettes, everything. And so I was interested in the business side of it, where everyone else was like, I'm an artist. I go be an artist. I want to learn the business, right? And so when I was doing all that, I was like, okay, you know what? This is a volume game.
Yeah.
So let me bang some more volume out.
Yeah.
And so it got to a point where like the artists on the label were getting like the main artists on the label were getting upset because they're like, this is Envy. It's not DJ Sanj label. It's an Envy label. Like, why is he putting out, you know, every month it's like a DJ Sanj album coming out, right? And so the label goes, look, you need to come up with some like different names on the album. And so I was like, because what in between America's Most Wanted, we had Little Satch, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then comes the brand Little Satch.
So what happened was that it was going to be a DJ Sanj album. And we did our Plan 9. Plan 9 was where you go to do the artwork and all that stuff. And Plan 9 was when they shot the Tenu Bolundee video and all that stuff. So I'm sitting there and they're like going, yeah, dude. So I remember my brother had some modeling shots.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, look, I'm going to grab up one of those shots, throw it on the album cover. And they're like, what should we call him? I said, well, he's pretty jacked. I said, why don't we call him like Little Satch? Like, you know, and like literally like, it was like, so like passing by thought.
Yeah.
And we thought it was funny. So I throw the picture of his modeling shot up there. We'll bang that album out, Little Satch. It sells.
Yeah.
So there was like, the label's like, everything Sanj does right now is selling.
Yeah.
Just keep going, right? So it was like, and then everyone else is getting upset. So for me, I'm making money on every album coming out.
Yeah.
Whether it's got my name or not my name on it, right? So, you know, life is starting to get better for me.
Okay, so it is getting better, but there's a period now.
Yeah.
Where I think the Sanj brand kind of holds its own now.
Yeah.
Because Sanj itself became a brand. Little Satch became a brand.
Yeah.
But then
Little Satch became a brand after Next of Kin.
Yeah. We'll get to that, right?
Yeah.
But then this America's Most Wanted crew.
Yeah.
It starts to fizzle out after number 2. Right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what's happening now? Because the team just started this crew you're building, right? And now suddenly after the second album, it's kind of starting to fall apart.
Well, because so here's what the problem is, right?
So just before we go there, do you? I don't know, in a podcast with your brother.
Yeah.
And he said that America's Most Wanted were kind of the pioneers of Desi hip hop revolution. Do you believe that was the case?
No, I believe I was the pioneer.
Yeah.
They were on my coattails.
Yeah.
Because I was struggling. They weren't eating parsley and fish for 8 months. They were staying at home having nice warm dinners cooked for them. right? They didn't travel to England and live on the shitty Soho Road street with the shop getting done on their entry doorstep and having to walk and deal with that. They weren't going 50 quid in petrol to go to a gig to play and get paid 50 quid, which means you make zero. They weren't doing any of that. I was doing all of that. They weren't staying up 14 hours a night, trying to produce songs for everybody and having the pressure and demand to produce content for the label. They weren't doing any of that. So fuck them. Because the problem was they were expecting me to hold their hand and wank them off, right? Because the thing is, they're going, well, where's my money? Yeah. Where's my fame? Where am I getting? Dude, then you come here and you do the hard work. I'm giving you a platform. And if you don't like the platform, then fuck off. And I was straight about it. I'm like, listen, I don't have a contract with you. You're relevant because of me. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, if you're so good, go on your own and do it yourself. And what happened? Have you heard of any of them? Have you heard of anybody? Nothing. Big zero. Why? Because at the end of the day, they didn't want to be accountable for their own choices and decisions. They didn't look at themselves and say, look, I want to take responsibility. They put it all on me expecting a result. Yeah. I did all the work and I gave them a platform out of the goodness of my heart because I'm good-natured. I'm a good-natured person who wants to help people and bring everyone with me. And they were too busy focusing on them. They were never saying, hey, Sanj, thank you so much for giving us a platform. And because you gave us a platform, I'm able to do this. They wanted me to do all the work and heavy lifting. And I said, look, I've got no problem. You want to put out an album? I'll give you a hookup with the label. Put out your own album, spend your own money, spend your own time, do your own effort, and do the whole thing yourself. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And in the end, and I had over the course of my career, I've had a lot of artists come and go. Yeah, yeah. And where are they now? Like everyone's just kind of gone and disappeared or whatever. Yeah. And so I've lasted. So that is what it is. What it is, right? Yeah. And then obviously, from this kind of moment now, there's an album called D Unit, right? Oh, I think that was much later. Later. Okay. Yeah. So then let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? Okay. What's the elephant? The elephant in the room is the album called Hype. No, it was EP. EP. Yeah. EP called Hype, right? Yeah. That now comes out. Okay. So let me set the scene for everyone to kind of really understand the impact of kind of this album, right? The industry is being dominated by garage. It's being dominated by hip hop. It's being dominated. There is no desi sound. Oh, and I also opened the door for samples. So now they're like, hey, Sanj is sampling. We need to all start sampling. So everybody's sampling now, right? Yeah. So So then so this is all happening, right? Yeah. Now, out of the blue, I remember sitting there. I came back from school. Yeah. I put on channel 7, 8, 9. Yeah. And you got RDB playing, you got this artist playing, that artist playing. Yeah. And then suddenly this kid appears. Yeah. There's that explosion and you hear a door kind of drum roll. You see these kids kind of screaming, like jumping up and down. And then it drops. And literally, in my opinion, that revolutionized UK music to a level beyond the bands. The bands took it to, I say here, this one song, in my opinion, I believe it took the music industry here. Because this one song, every radio station, every wedding, every Mela, but you're not even in the video. And then to add, now this is where the elephant in the room comes, is such a success of a song. Yeah. No one knows who the singer is. No. They think this kid is this. I thought the kid was a singer. Yeah. I looked up to this kid, thinking that, he's amazing. Yeah. Right? I mean, we found him a couple of years ago, right? Yeah. And then it becomes a campaign against Sanj about, he should have put me in the video from the artist. There was interviews. Well, not the label let me down. And that was Lembert, right? Lembert wanted to be in the music video and he wasn't. Now, that's this kind of, that I've set the scene now. Now, you've never actually spoken about Dasya, how the song was made, because even you was accused of it being ghost produced by someone else. Yeah. It's a Buddha produced it. And I was like, Buddha produced it. There was so many things being thrown at it. Like, it's doing wonders. But at the same time, you got the sunshine on one side, you got the grey clouds coming towards that sunshine. Yeah. Tell the story of Dasya, because there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. Okay. And there's a lot of things. Okay, let's rewind then. Okay, so I started getting a reputation where okay, Sanj can't produce anything. He can only sample. Yeah. So then you're getting that hate, right? Because one thing I've learned in life, and this is what I follow even to this day, I'm like, I thrive on people hating me, being upset with me, wanting me to fail. It feeds me, right? And the best way to get back at anybody that hates you, doesn't like you, irritates you, anything, is just be successful. If you're successful, it will burn them to no end inside.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. So I'm going to be successful. So what happened was when I was getting all the hate from all the sampling, I said, okay, I want to do a song with no samples. So Kay was on the record doing live percussion, Tubbsy doing live percussion, Dave Raj Jessel did Tumbi Algozi. Okay. Everything was from scratch. And I'm saying, okay, now, I'll even go before that. So Lember story, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't have an issue with Lember. He's always been kind to me every time I've met him. And I've always been respectful to him. But I don't know what story he tells people. I'm only going to tell you the actual truth.
Yeah.
And everyone can go back and fact check it because this is what happened. So there was a guy, big up to Donnie. So Donnie would come, this guy Donnie, he would always be hanging on Soho Road, but he was linked in with the Freshies. So whenever a singer would land from Punjab into England, right, Donnie would know. And Donnie would bring him to the studio. Like all the labels. Like he would, okay, I'm going to take you this label, this label, this label. Because all they want to do is like, let's record vocals, right? And so he'd come to like Envy, so-and-so singer. I said, okay, what song? Let's go through some songs. Okay, I'm going to record these 3 or 4 songs, blah, blah, blah. And it was it was just like a revolving door.
Like a conveyor, yeah.
Yeah. And so when Lember came, at that time, I think one of the Sahota brothers got signed to Envy. And so Lember was singing for him, went to other labels. And you got to remember, I think Lember was in his 30s. He was older than all of us. And he was already no name in Punjab, wasn't making it. And he was singing songs before Dasja, right? It wasn't like Dasja was his first song he sang. He'd been singing for years, right? And the thing is, all of them were shit songs. They didn't sell. No one liked them. They didn't work. So now he's living in England. He comes to the studio and has a conversation with me. And he goes, listen, bro, I need a hit. Like, I need to eat, right? Can you help me? I said, okay, let's do a song. But we're going to do it all from scratch. Because I'm thinking, you think I sample? Now we're going to do it from scratch. So I had this idea. Everyone's doing garage. We're going to do hardcore Bhangra.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're going to do hardcore. And I remember because I had these like $300 Polk Audio speakers that I would mix on, right? And I was like, I'm going to make the bass so thick. Even if you listen to that song now, there's no song that's got heavier bass than that song. Because I'm going to crank this thing up, right? All you can hear is darn. That's it, right? And so so we're going through songs, we're working on songs, right? And then I'm saying, shit. Oh, that's really shit. I said, what's your problem? Why are you always stuck with these major chords, gay stuff? I would be like, I don't want to hear this crap, right? And then we come down to start working on Dasja, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is the song, right? And I record it, right? And I remember that Lember telling me, like after like spending some time with me working on that song, he goes, I get it now. Because and then after it was a hit, like it obviously became a hit, right? But he was telling me, I get it. He's like, he understood my formula for how I think of what a hit song should sound like.
Yeah.
Like the melody structure, the chord arrangement, all these things that what sounds good to me. He took that, and I give him full credit for this. He took how I listened to music and took it and then went to everybody else singing whatever, I think 100, 200, 300 songs. And all of a sudden, everything he does was hit, right? But going back to Dasja, we recorded the song, everything live, but the label was like, no, you need a garage track. So Karan MC sang Babala. That was the first track. And I think Dasja was third. It was like third. It wasn't even like, the label was like, dude, no, this is like, no, who's gonna listen to this, right? And so I remember DJ coming into the Envy shop I think after like, 2-3 weeks it was out, right? Going, dude, you know that song that you did, that Dustja song? I'm like, yeah. He goes, it's on repeat at every wedding I'm going to.
Mm.
I'm like, really? The label's like, really? And they're like, should we do a video for this? We're like, yeah, well, we don't really have a budget. I'm like, what's the budget? I said, 300 pounds, right? So what are we gonna do 300 pounds? I said, like, listen, I'm like eating, not really eating healthy. I'm like out of shape. I'm like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. And it's a 300-pound video. What are we going to do? What's the concept? So I said, okay, you know what? Let's show everybody having fun. So we called up a few people and said, look, bring all the college kids, right, to this venue, right? And let's just shoot. And I shot it. So Dustja video was shot by me, right?
Directed and produced.
And edited. I edited the video on the IMAX that look like lamps. The white ones, right? And so
you had no experience of like...
No. I was like, I didn't have, I kind of failed forward my entire life.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, how hard can it be, right? Yeah. So we go to a club, blasting the song, everyone just having such a good time. Yeah. And we shoot the video, right? And so the guy in the video, Rico,
the kid,
right? Yeah. He was in the Babala video as a dancer, which was the first, we shot this video and he's doing break dancing and everything. And I think he worked at some jewelry store or something. Yeah. So I walked down to the jewelry store and I go to Rico. I say, listen, we're doing another song, but like, I don't know what's going to happen with it. It's a really cheap video. Right. I didn't have Limber's contact information. Like I didn't know. So I said, look,
you or the label, no one had.
Well, no, I think the label must have had it, but like I wasn't like friends with Limber or anything like that. And he came and sang a song and we talked and we did the song and everything, but he was off recording with everyone else, right? Like it wasn't like he was like loyal to me or like Sanj is my producer. It was nothing like that, right? Yeah. Because he had a few flops before Dustja. No one really wanted to work with him, and so he would always like he was on the hustle, right? So I said, okay, Rico, here's a song, lip sync it, right? He goes, cool. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah. Because no one expected anything. So there was no expectation, right? So like, no one wanted to be in the video. Like I didn't want to be in the video. I was like 300 pounds. I just did Tenu Bolundee was a massive hit. Great video. Why would I want to be in this thing? So I'm not in the video. Lember's not in the video. It's a bunch of kids. And I remember the guy that was like doing the Michael Jackson thing with the hat. And he was wicked. He made the video. I was like, oh, we need to shoot. I need to focus on this guy. I'm going like, oh, do it again. And he's doing his whole Michael Jackson thing and whatever, right? And so the video comes out, right? And I think it took time. Like back then, nothing was a hit overnight. It took time because distribution, you're getting everything out, then it gets played, and then it goes to ship the product to Canada, and it takes time to filter out. The song becomes so massive that everyone's like, how can Sanj do this track? There's no samples in it. Yeah. It couldn't be him. It has to be someone else. So everyone's like trying to like figure out like, because it blew up so big that like all my haters, all the people against me just couldn't swallow it. Yeah. They couldn't take it. And so that's when all the rumors start. And then the other problem with it, what I realized, because it was such a monster hit, everybody wants credit for it. Everybody wants to say, oh, it's my idea. I did it. I own it. I came up with it. So you have all this fight for credit, right? And I'm sure like Limber was part of that. Like, it's my song. Sure. Yeah, it's your song. You sang it.
Like he showed a lot of animosity towards this kid. Do you think that was fair? Because again, the kid was just a kid, a model in the video. It was that era where artists weren't.
So here's the truth, right? The funny thing was after that song blew up, Zeus wanted Limber, RDB, everybody wanted Limber. Before that, nobody wanted Limber. So I heard like everyone was telling me, oh, Limber's complaining. One is, dude, have you seen what you look like? No, you're 30 something. You got 21, 22-year-olds dancing to the song. Do you really want to be in that scene? It's going to look kind of like cringy. Yeah. Right? So like, why would you want to be in the video? Second thing is, what are you complaining about? The song blew up. It made you. Yeah. People only wanted to work with you because it was a hit. Because before that, You had shitty songs that no one cared about, and there were loads of singers like that were singing well, right? So you have a hit, okay? Okay, you have a big hit. It's feeding you, which is what you wanted, right? Now everyone's paying you to do vocals.
Yeah.
What's your problem? Like, what is your problem? Like, at what point? So now you wanted to be in the video with a bunch of like 21, 22-year-olds when you're 30 something?
Yeah.
Like, that isn't a good look. So what's the problem? So when people complain about that, I laugh. Because I never worked with Lambert after that.
Mm-hmm.
I had no interest. I don't care.
Yeah. Because
I'll go on to someone else and give them a hit. I was giving everybody hits.
Yeah.
For most of my career, I would give everybody hits. I got another 100 hits in this head. I'm not worried. Right? So why are you worried? If you're so good, why are you worried? And he's obviously, Lembert's had many hits, man. Like many. But that's after me.
You say it's fair to say
it's after me. It's not before me.
The catalyst started from Dustja, yeah.
No, the catalyst is me.
Yeah.
Right? The result is Dustja.
Yeah.
And because of that, he like I said, the one thing I give him credit for is spending time with me. He knew after that, oh, I'm going to take that Sanj formula in his head and milk that. All of a sudden, he's got hits.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence. It's a reality. Right? And he should be thankful that happened that way because his career's been amazing. He's done so many hits. He's a living legend.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're going to complain about the small stuff, oh, the label did this to me, this person did this to me, stop being a whiny bitch.
Yeah.
Like, stop. You're a legend. Everybody knows your songs. What are you complaining about?
Yeah.
So move on.
And we're going to move on.
Yeah.
To the next kind of guy that kind of came in, literally adjacent, right? And this was like, for me as a fan, my assumption was that Little Satch and Karan MC hand in hand. Because literally, the next of kin now drops.
Yeah,
the next of kin
was and the side been on that. Yeah.
It was Soneh Lenghe Waliye first.
Yeah, So that was that was a death. Yeah, that was.
So that Soneh Lenghe Waliye drops.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
This is Karan MC.
Yeah.
It's come out of nowhere. The song's just erupted now, right?
Karan MC was a different situation. Karan MC was another one. Donnie brought him.
Yeah.
I met him. We got along right away. And he was singing for other people. And then, I remember him coming. He's the only singer that ever came to me and said, Sanj, I don't like what the other singers do. This is after, I think, Soneh Lenghe Waliye and Sare Pe Mitranda came out. After that, he was like, he's number one, my favorite singer. Number one, the most loyal human being I've ever met. Because when he gave me his word, going, listen, and I never asked him, he told me, he goes, I don't like what people do to my voice.
Yeah.
I'm only going to sing for you. And he kept his word. Right? There's never been a Karan MC song that I know of that's come out after me. And I'll always respect him for that and always love him for that.
Yeah.
But what happened was, so when he came in, we did Soneh, he would come in and he was very like he loves Kuldeep Manik Saab, right? Like, so he was very like, everything I want to do like Kuldeep Manik style songs, right? And so we did Soneh Lenghe Waliye, blows up. And then we're like, oh wow. So then Sare Pe Mitranda blows up. Lishkare blows up.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, and then Balle Balle Hoge Mitro blows up. Right? Like Apna Punjab. You know, like for me, for me, I get excited. Like those are like, I mean, like when if I do Bhangra, if I could do, Karan MC songs my whole life, I would have done that.
Why do you think Karan MC never kind of got his flowers? As in the songs.
Yeah.
They're on everyone's playlist.
Yeah.
The Spotify numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah.
But he never did those big shows. What kind of happened there with him? Because if Lember's doing these shows and, these other singers, why is Karan MC not on the stage at these medley? Why was he never headlining?
You can't force people, and I've had this with other singers as well. Yeah. Like when you go on stage, your persona, the aura that you give out, you can't assume people, just because you have a hit song, that people will enjoy your performance.
There's a difference between a singer and a performer. Or to be a singer, you have to be a performer as well?
I would say, like, you have a singer, and then you have a great song that's coming out. Also, it's producer-led, right?
Yeah.
So I'm fronting the song. Or the producer or DJ is fronting the song, not the singer. Back then. Now it's different. Now it's flipped, right? But end of the day, I mean, few people that are stars. And so here's the difference you have to understand. You can be a great singer, right? But are you a star?
Yeah.
And I think if you're not a star, you're not going to get those bookings flying in, getting the good money. And there's only a handful of stars. It's just how it is. You can't force people or convince people that you're a star. You either are or you're not. And I don't decide that. You don't decide that. The people, the audience decide that. And most artists can't accept that. Like, I got paid to go DJ, right? Around the world for years. I didn't decide that. The audience decided that. Because if the audiences decide, they decide what they want. They're the judge and jury, right? And the executioner, right? For your career. The audience doesn't, if tomorrow, like I said, American Legacy comes out, and no one likes it, I'm okay with it. Why? Because the audience has decided, and I have to accept it. I'm not going to blame anybody. It's just how the business is. And you have to accept that. You got to put your ego aside and accept it. And with Karan MC, I think the issue was he did accept it. He goes, I'm okay with it. He would go to Punjab, do his melas, but he goes, for some reason, I don't connect with the crowd. I don't connect. And I used to hang out with him, go to his shop and everything and hang out. And he was always very cool about it. He's like, look, I'm doing what I love to do anyways. I'm recording with you. I enjoy my songs. I get to play them to myself. I'm good. I'm in the video. I get my 5 minutes. He was never really like, oh, I need to be a star. I'm demand. He was never like, he was very kind, good person, and genuine, right? And so he got that, and it happens. Like, that's just the nature of life in this business. So you have to accept it.
So with Karan, right, there's one song I think defined him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the kind of fast-paced kind of Punjabi songs, like dancing songs. It was a slow jam. And it's become...
Yeah, no. It's not, okay. When you say slow jam to me, it means like a boy and a girl, two genders, right, that slow dance together, like a romantic slow song. I'm assuming you know. Lishkare. Right? So that was like a proper jam. That was, it was chill, right? It was a chill jam. But like, it's still R&B, hip hop. Because we got Jindy G was rapping on it, and sick record though. It's one of my sick records. Yeah.
But you went from going from original music, original compositions, everything, to now suddenly you've gone back to now sampling. Did you not find that you went a step backwards to kind of do this track, or was it just because something's trending at that point in time? Let me jump on the hype.
Listen, a great song is a great song. I don't give a shit. If the people like it, the people like it. Like, it's not, I don't judge that. The people do. If people don't want it, then don't listen to it. Second thing is, by the time that came out, I already won everyone over. So even my critics and my haters were like, yeah, we give up. Like, I crushed all my haters with pure success. So at what point you hear, oh, he samples. Okay, I'll do Dusja. Oh, well, he does sampling again, but actually, like, you know what? He actually does it really good. So they turn it around. Even with the sampling, like, if you listen to Lishkare De Kokide, nobody samples better than me with a track. I don't just slap a sample and a song and that's it. It was like, I build it all up so that it all gels together, that you think, you can't even imagine that's a sample. You just think that's just how it is. And Lishkare is one of those tracks that, like, it goes so well together, you forget there's even a sample in there. And that's my talent, that's my magic. And and then if I want to do an original track, what do you mean, like from scratch? I've got loads of songs and hits like that as well. Like, so let people say what they want to say. And on that album, that little Satch album, Sare Pe Mitranda was original from scratch, and that was a monster hit, right? So the album had a little bit of everything. And again, it was Little Satch because the label was like, we can't keep having DJ Sanj albums every month. The artists are getting upset. So I was like, okay. And that's probably my one regret. I should have stood my ground and said, no, everything's going to be DJ Sanj, because I can only imagine, what would people think if I was banging out that many hit records?
Just on Envy quickly, like, so that with that label, there was a whole roster of artists.
Yeah.
But realistically, a lot of them faded away. Like in that period of time where you kind of mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Say that's that 6 years in 2000, 2006. A lot of them kind of careers finished in that period.
Okay.
Why do you think that was the case? Like you managed to sustain a model that worked. You evolved. It was hits.
Exactly. I evolved.
But
maybe
these guys,
maybe they didn't evolve.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want it enough. Maybe they let their personal problems get in the way.
Yeah.
Maybe they mismanaged their life. I have no idea.
Yeah.
All I know is when I'm focused on something, I'm focused on something.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know what they were doing. I don't know how they're built. And you know, like look, for the most part, I got along with most people. I was just no filter. Like if I like something, I like it. If I like you, I like you. I don't like you, I don't like you. And I would just say it. And if I hurt your feelings, that's not my problem. I hurt your feelings. It's just not my problem. And so I had a reputation for being snobby. I'm not sure if I had a reputation for being difficult to work with, but definitely snobby, or maybe I had an attitude problem, which I don't think I did. You just don't like what I had to say. But I don't know. Like, all I know is that, like, by the time, like after Lishkare De came out, I started on the Asian network.
Yeah. I was going to go to that. So that's like a chapter in your career which was controversial. And I think it's controversial.
Yeah.
It's been buried as well. I feel like Sanj's association to Asian network, it was there. And then when let's just say, when shit hit basically the fan, it was let's bury Sanj. Would you agree that that was the case?
Politics were involved.
Yeah. But let's take from the start, right? So, number one, Asian network have now grabbed you. BBC Asian network, one of the biggest South Asian, radio broadcasters in the UK. They've now grabbed you.
So they wanted me to take over the Sunday show. Yeah. There was a Sunday show for an hour, I think it was, or 2 hours. I can't remember now. And they wanted to do like I guess like a nonstop mixed party show or whatever, right? I said, okay, I'll do it. I want to do it my way. This is cool. And I was the first, I guess, show on the Asian network to play a mix of Desi music and mainstream English records. You were not allowed to play English records on the Asian network before. Yeah. I was the first. And so I would do these bootleg challenges. So I would go to my fans and go to the audience and say, send me your inquiries, call me up, send an email. What do you want me to bootleg next week? And so I would have all these bootlegs, and every week, and everyone would listen to those bootlegs amongst the nonstop mixing I was doing and playing all the hit records and the usual stuff, right? Yeah. And it slowly became like one of the top shows on the Asian network. They loved the show. Ratings were great. Response was great. And so...
but internally was... Like, I've been to Asian media. I've seen what it's like when you're doing very well. Those that ain't doing well, they're coming for you. Did you experience that?
That's always been the case. Yeah. I mean, like, from the beginning of my story, it's like everyone had a problem with me from day one, because like I'm coming to shake stuff up. Like, that's just how I am. Like, I'm okay with Dip's Bhangra, right? But I'm sure he wanted the show before. Obviously, he had the show after me. Yeah. But I got the show instead of him, right? And so, I'm sure he won't admit it, but I'm sure he was the happiest person when I got fired. Yeah. Or I left that show and went on to something else. Do you know what I mean? And so that show was popular. And then Adil Ray was doing the nighttime show, the evening show at the time. And so the BBC Asian Network was courting me to take over the Adil Ray show. And I would guest spot. So I remember speaking to Adil Ray, and he goes, Sanj, I want you to take over my show. I'm going away for a bit. And there was a 6-week stint where testing me out. And everything was going great. And I wasn't like a radio presenter as such. Yeah. So I was learning how to do that as well. And so I think I was pretty shitty in the beginning, but I got better, right? I learned and I got better, reading the scripts and learning how the whole radio production world works, right? And so I enjoyed it. And then the only issue that came up was so what happened was, if you go rewind a little bit, when I was doing the Sunday show, before I went on to the nighttime show, the fans wanted an album with all the bootlegs. And we said, well, we can't really release it because I don't own the rights for them. And then I thought, why not? Right? We just put it under a fake label name and we just put it out.
Yeah.
And me being cheeky, he's like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So we called it Authorized. And on the back of the CD, we put like really vulgar. We thought it was funny, but it probably wasn't funny. Like, you know, stuff like, when you can make hit records like me, then you can talk, and stuff like that, right? On the back, all over the album, like really taking the piss, right? And so I put all the bootlegs on there, and it was selling. It was, the shops were just like flying. It was flying off the shelf. And then I'm assuming that pissed off a lot of labels, and they filed a complaint with the BPI.
Do you know who actually filed the complaint? Because there's a lot of times where, like, let's go at Gary, for example. Gary, they say, you know, this artist reported into immigration, etc. Did you ever know who reported you?
No, but it doesn't matter. Like, at that point, like, I can understand why the labels got mad. Like, what the hell is it? Like, because it was doing well. If it wasn't doing well, no one would care. They only complain when it's doing well. And I already experienced it after Dust Job. Like, everyone had issues because it was such a massive hit. And so it was blowing up, and then BPI. So I remember I'm on the night show, like, taking over from Adel Ray, and I'm reading, and then I'm reading my name in the news, saying well-known music producer DJ Sanj being sued by the BPI or whatever. I can't remember what the and that's me
Live on air.
live. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then it was all over the news, and it was all over everything. And it got so bad that, like, my parents would call me up and think, everyone's telling us you're going to jail. Like, it was like, it like shook everything up because it never happened to anyone on that level, where it was on like news, like BBC News. And so, everyone, like, literally, after that point, no one sampled. Why? Because everyone was too scared. So I ended sampling. So, you know, anyone who wanted sampling to end, you're welcome. Because I started sampling like crazy, and I ended sampling.
So was you then dismissed from the BBC for doing?
Oh yeah. They so everyone was a little bit. I'm not gonna say scared. Yeah. But I would say, like, cautious around me. Like, how's Sanj gonna take this? Right. Yeah. And so I remember, like, a couple of guys from one of the guys from Asian Network, he goes, oh, let's have a lunch. Yeah. Right. And these are like, oh, you're awesome. We're going to back you up. We got you. Like, all that kind of stuff. And they're like, we have to let you go. I remember grabbing a chair and throwing it across the room and go, you motherfuckers, man. You fucking, like, talk so much fucking shit. Saying, like, oh, we got your back. And then a little bit of a bump hits, and you guys are throwing me under the bus. Go fuck yourself. I don't give a shit. Fuck the show. Right. And I said, you're not renewing my contract. I quit. So fuck you. And so that all happened. And so I lost that because of that Authorized album with the bootlegs on it. But the crazy thing is, that thing started selling more. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, we got to drop another album.
That's when
America's Most Wanted 3 came out, right? And so I had, you know, I wanted to do big crazy stuff on there. Like, Block Party was such an out there record. And then you got, like, Bale Bale Hoge Mitro, which, like, everyone's like, well, what's, like, the next Dust Job thing he's going to do? And I was like, Bale Bale Hoge Mitro. And
was you upset in that film? Because in the music video, you look very serious and sad. And, like, what's wrong? Like, why would you like such like a really sad?
No, it was. You know what? I didn't realize, like, because back then there wasn't that many videos. Yeah. But you realize that everything's in the eyes. Yeah. And I learned after the fact, when I saw that video, I better start wearing sunglasses so I don't have to think about what are my eyes doing. Yeah. Because no one actually thinks, what are the eyes doing? So now it's like, then I put sunglasses on. Now I don't have to think about it. I can have more fun in the video. Yeah. And before I was like concentrating. Oh, I did. Oh, yeah, like, what's the reaction on my face? And so I did that. Yeah. And I probably was a little bit sad. I probably was going through, like, you know, everyone goes through shit, right? Yeah. Like, so I was probably, like, in a mood. And you know, I used to drink a lot in those days.
I was going to ask, like, what was your health like? So, you know, you're in this little attic room. You know, are you eating well now?
No, I'm out of the attic room at that point.
Yeah.
I had a place in Wolverhampton, and then you know, going through my own personal issues, problems, and then
is the lifestyle of an artist very toxic in terms of drink? You know, I'm talking about UK. We'll talk about India in a moment.
Yeah.
But this kind of UK scene, there's an untold.
Yeah, alcohol's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just cut to the chase. So drugs were never an issue for me. They never have been an issue for me. I just don't gravitate towards that. Alcohol was my, say, drug of choice, right? So alcohol, yeah, it's a drug too. You know, not rocket science, but that was my drug of choice. And because you mix it with, like, you think alcohol is a social thing, like, hey, it's, you know, it's, at weddings, it's a celebratory thing. You don't look at it as like a drug, but it is.
Yeah.
And what happens is with alcohol, it can easily, as you associate it with friends and celebrating and good times, it could then become a crutch to dealing with your depression, anxiety, and stress. And that transition is so seamless, you don't realize you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, when you start having to beg at nighttime in the evening by yourself, I think the first key is when you start drinking by yourself, that's a problem. That's the first sign that you're transitioning from it being a good time thing to now being a crutch or some sort of a compensation thing to help you manage what you're going through, any emotional issues or traumatic issues or whatever. But no, so after the Authorized came out, I did America's Most Wanted 3, and that was doing well, and it was on the way to blowing up. But the funny part was, which we thought was funny from the shop and customers, we go to the shop and say, "How's America's Most Wanted 3 doing?" They're like, "Oh, doing amazing," but everyone keeps asking for the other album. So what do you mean? They go, Sanj, when people come to the shop, we give them America's Most Wanted 3, and they go, no. I want the other album, the illegal album. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, no, the illegal one. Whereas, like, that became such a cool thing where everyone was after this illegal album from DJ Sanj and not the legit America's Most Wanted 3. And so I thought that was funny, but we didn't make it anymore, right? So then there were people that were bootlegging the bootleg album because the shops were like, we don't want to lose out on money. So they were buying that. And so you had Authorized, it's a legal bootleg album, and America's Most Wanted 3 all selling at the same time. Yeah. And then after that, I was kind of like, yeah, there's nowhere for me to go now in the UK. I've kind of like
hit the glass ceiling, basically.
Well,
do you think there's a glass ceiling in the UK industry?
Oh, 100%. Like, especially as you were going towards like singles and all that sort of thing and down the road. But like at that time, I was like, I've already kind of done everything I wanted to do. It wasn't challenging anymore.
But the next big challenge was Bollywood.
Yeah. So I was like, me being a little bit of cuckoo, I packed up a suitcase and I moved to Mumbai.
Was this like a planned move or was it just an impulse?
Impulse.
Okay.
Just like moving to England was an impulse. I was like, I'm just going to go do it.
But
what's the worst that could happen?
No, but how do you do something without knowing what to do? Like, obviously, the Bhangra industry is very small.
According to some people, I have a PhD on how to do something that I had no idea how to do. So I can't figure that out myself. In retrospect, being older, wiser, mature, it's not advice I'd give my own children, where I'd be like, hey, go do what daddy did. No, I don't think so. But I did it. And like I said, I have a compulsion to constantly challenge myself, to beat myself up to see how much I can take and how much I can push back. I don't know where it comes from, but that's part of my DNA. It's part of how I'm built, which is why I don't have much of a fear of stuff like it. Like even pain isn't like it's not a deterrent for me. Fear is not a deterrent for me. I don't get deterred. Like I just said, let's take it. Let's bring it on, man. Let's go. Let's go. Let's rock and roll, man. And so when I got to India and Mumbai, I was like, okay, where do I start? And so you start meeting, you know a few people, and then people, oh, you're from UK, DJ Sanj, okay, so that opens a few doors, and then you start networking a little bit, and you start getting into the scene, and then whatever you think it is supposed to be, it isn't, and
what do you mean by that?
Like, so if I go back to so I'll tell you what overall structure of like what happened with India. I was there for 4 to 5 years, and I came out of India in 2010. So I left in 2006 to 2010. In that 4 years, I learned a lot about myself, and I was put in situations where. So how I run my life, I'll go back to this. You have principles and you have morality, right? People kind of think they're the same thing, but they're not. Morality is external. It's outside you. Principles are internal, inside you. So, morality, like you shouldn't kill, or you shouldn't be mean to people or whatever. But a principle is internal. It's the rule you make for yourself on how you want to conduct your life. So you make this rule, right? And everyone, they think they've got these principles. But the first thing, in my experience, that people will compromise when they say, oh, I'm compromise, is their principles, which is taking a piece of your soul. Like you've decided, like, this is why I get frustrated with people. If you decide this is the rule you want to live by, you made that decision to make this principle, this rule, you shouldn't break it for anybody. And I don't believe in compromise. I don't compromise. My principles, I will not compromise for anybody in this world because I decided what those are and I'm going to stick to them. And because I'm like that, I actually thrived after India and I was tested.
How was you tested in India?
Well, so when you move there, the first thing everyone tells you, everyone gives you their advice, right? This is about, they go, Mumbai, you have to compromise, Chad. Compromise. I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck does that mean? And what they're telling you is that like, you're going to have to bend a knee at some point to get what you want. So basically what they're saying is you're going to have to take it up the ass, right? Without Vaseline and like it so that you can get what you want. And I say it vulgar like that to make the point as clear as possible. Right? And I said, well, I ain't taking anything up there.
Wait, so this is for men as well as women?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Dude, listen, I got no problem with men hitting on me. At that point, like, listen, I used to be hot and sexy. That was my hot and sexy face when I was in India. Right?
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So regardless of how much talent you have, regardless of how many hits you've produced, this India Bollywood market, let's call them the gatekeepers. They're basically saying, if you want to open through this gate, you got to basically take a knee. So, for example, like, when you touch the feet, right? As part of our cultural thing. I've got no problem with that. But I was taught it's your elders. Respect. There, they want you to bend over just because they want to see if you'll do it for them. Because it makes them feel better, makes them feel empowered. And in India, like when you say oh, bola hega, like he's a softie. Softie.
Now, being kind and nice in India is equated to being an idiot or a fool. And that's the problem I had. I prefer to be nice and kind. I prefer that. It's my preference. But if you want to be an asshole, dude, I got a PhD in asshole. I will out asshole you. Right? And so I prefer to be nice and kind. But in India, they don't allow you to be. And I ain't touching anyone. Like I was working with Pritam, Anu Malik. I did stuff with Soneh Nigam. I've worked with Jaidev Kumar, Harbhajan Man, Gurdas Man Sahab. I've got a list of people that I've worked with, given tracks to, given hits to, Bollywood stuff, behind the scenes. I did a lot of South Indian stuff, loads of stuff, right? And I was, because it's interesting. Like for me, I find it like a very, let's say, a cerebral thought process in the sense that like I was tested and I pushed back.
What's the worst thing that happened to you?
Oh, for example, okay, so see, I find it funny, but I think some people probably won't. So once people think you have a value you can add to them in there, right? they want to control you and own you, right? Because because it benefits them. So there was a famous music producer, big time famous, right? I was doing music for him and production for him. And then he calls me up one day and goes, okay, I'm going to pick you up. We're going to go for lunch. I said, cool. Let's go. So I go to the car. It's a BMW. He goes, Sanj, only special people get to sit in my BMW.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. And then we go to this restaurant in Bandra. I think it was Bandra. And Chinese restaurant. And he goes, Sanj, I only take special people to this restaurant. I said, oh, okay. And then it's like, the Chinese restaurant, they got a big round table.
Yeah.
So we're sitting at the table. I think there was like, it seats like, I don't know, 8. And he goes, Sanj, I only let special people sit at this table. I'm thinking, what the fuck is special shit going on? I said, okay. And so out of all the seats, he sits next to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, fucking a bunch of the seats.
Yeah.
So then he goes, Sanj, you're very special. And then he starts rubbing my thigh, like up. And if I rub your thigh up that close, you will start to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I look at this, right? And I'm taking a breath. I'm going, okay.
Do you understand what special is now?
Yeah, it clued on to me. Like, okay, I get why I'm so special. Okay, I get it. And so I took a second to think about my reaction.
Yeah.
How far do I want to go with this reaction? Because I already knew what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But how far?
This is a make or break moment for you now in your career in Bollywood.
Yeah. So the thing is, like this guy can make my career. He can set me up. He can introduce me to the right people. Like, everything. And there was not even a second doubt about my doubt, my reaction to what my choice was. There was never a doubt at my choice. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I just wanted to see how creative can I be in doing it, or how forceful do I want to be in doing it? So I told him, I said, listen, you punk motherfucker, take your hand off my fucking leg before I stick these chopsticks up your fucking nose. You touch me again, I will fucking break your fucking face.
Yeah.
I think I was pretty clear, right? And I wasn't worried about what's going to happen to my career, this, that, the other, right? But I said it with such conviction that he shit himself, right? I got up, took a rickshaw, went back, never heard from him again. And for me, it was just another day. Like, because the thing is, like,
would you like? Okay, you said it's another day. Did you see a lot of this happening in this Bollywood scene?
A lot of it, because another story. So when I got into working out, right, this really nice guy. He was a model.
Yeah,
good looking guy, right? Jacked, 8-pack. He would eat like 2 eggs for lunch, right? And I didn't know how to work out and properly, right? He goes, I'll take you to work out. I said, cool. So I'd work out with him. And he would tell me that because he's a model and trying to be an actor, he goes, you have Lakshmi Fashion Week and all these places. So all the fashion designers are male, right? And he goes, I don't know what to do because like they basically tell you, like, listen, you got to sleep with me. Right? Like, I like you, they'll touch you and whatever, and you can't say anything. I said, why not? Look at you, man. You're jacked. Tell the guy to go fuck himself. Yeah. Like, it's me. Like, I must have came out of my mother's womb going, go fuck yourself. Like, that's just how I am. And he goes, I can't do that. So why not? He goes, well, my family, they had a business. They're a very reputable family. Because I left to go to Bollywood, they disowned me. I can't go back home. I got nowhere to go. I said, listen, I can't relate to you. I don't know, because for me, it's such a knee-jerk react. Like, there's no distinction there. It's like, listen, tell them to go fuck themselves. And, I said, dude, I don't know. I don't have that problem because I don't care. I'll sleep on the street. You cannot intimidate me. You cannot leverage me. It's one of my principles. I will never be leveraged. Yeah. You threaten me emotionally, physically, anything. Fuck off. I don't care. Right? Because I have to live with myself. I got to look at myself in the mirror, and I'm no one's bitch. Never been anyone's bitch. I'm never going to be anyone's bitch. And I told him that. And about 3 weeks later, I never saw him again. And then I don't know what happened to him. But he was basically being, at the time he told me that he was basically being chased by one of the fashion designers, who was very prominent or whatever. And I never
chased as in he wanted.
Well, yeah, he wanted him, right?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of stories like that on the girl side. And
this is what I wanted to ask. So on the girl side of things, did you ever kind of see what was happening with them?
Yeah.
And is it as bad as they say about the couch situation, etc.? Is that something that was prominent then, or was it something that was kind of was it an open secret?
See, I think that once you make a decision, you want to go into, let's say, the film industry or the fashion industry in Mumbai, let's say.
Yeah.
You've already made a certain calculation that's on the table. I think, because you have to remember, these are people coming from all over India and all over the world. Okay. And some of them were naive, thinking that, this doesn't happen, or it won't happen to them.
Yeah. And
then some of them are very aware this is part of the game. Okay. And they look at it as part of the game and they go, look, I don't care what I got to do. I just got to get here. Right. And so, like, for example, I remember there's like casting couch issues coming out, and I remember speaking to some girls, and at that time I went from Bhangra to Versova, in the area. And I remember in that, I think it was like 5 kilometers or something, there's like 1,000 models, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's beautiful. Like, it's like everyone's good looking. Put makeup and everything. Everyone's good looking. And there's very few women that were like, oh my God, like, I got to do this. No. Like, a lot of women, like the models, were upset at the women that were calling out the casting couch. Because look, if all I got to do is to give the guy a blowjob, I'll give the guy a blowjob. I get the part, I get connected, and I'm going to build my network. And then I get to another step. And so they were mad at the girls that were causing problems, because then the more problems that those girls caused, saying, this guy was giving me, like, moving and making a move on me, or hitting on me or whatever, then that guy's were more reluctant and more careful about who he's going to proposition.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of women were like, hey, like, why are you ruining it for the rest of us? And it just shocked me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was just like, I was just like, okay, it's so counterintuitive. And what I realized is that in that industry, people have already checked out their principles, and they put their morality in a box and they put it to the side, and they go, I just got to do what I got to do to survive and make it. And that's their thinking, because they think that making it is the be all and end all of life and their existence. And that's up to them. But I don't think that way. I never did. And it was incompatible. So in general, Mumbai was, and the Bollywood industry was incompatible with my principles and who I am as a person. So I was never gonna elevate myself to the top. I was never gonna be the top of the level, because I was offending too many people, and I was pushing back, and everyone was saying, listen, you're a problem.
What was the repercussions for you for that? Like, if you're kind of being in there, you're working your way up, you're working these big names, and at the same time, you're the problem child.
Oh, the work dries up.
Yeah.
That's it. So, for example, like, I remember, like, when I did Love Ajko.
Yeah.
Okay. My whole thing was, look, either you pay me and I don't get credit, or you put my name so I get promoted. One or the other.
Yeah.
Either I'm getting a benefit, you're getting a benefit. Either it fits your budget or whatever. For that film, they didn't want to do either. And I was lucky that Eros, the company that was doing the music, was like, no, you know what? We're doing work with Sanj. And, so that they fought to get my name in the film.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, I'm not begging nobody for anything. Like, either do it or don't do it, but I won't deal with you again. I don't care. And so slowly, like, because I can't be controlled, I can't be manipulated, I can't be bargained with, they just know that X. So I was slowly getting X'd out of everything. And I realized, like, look, I had to make a choice. If I want to make it be really successful, I got to kiss some ass. And I said, no, I ain't doing it. Like, it was like a big, like, oh, I have to contemplate my existence and do whatever. I'm like, nah, I ain't sucking dick. Fuck it. Sorry, man. I ain't doing it. So it was like a decision. So then my focus started turning into the Punjab music industry.
But before that, I don't know how true it is.
Yeah.
It could be hearsay. It could be people saying whatever. But is it true that you ended up on the streets
Yeah.
in India?
Yeah.
So like you've gone in.
Yeah. Yeah. So my mouth, as I think after this interview is going to prove, gets me into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like you get into situations where like, listen, you have to do it this way or else. And I was put in a situation where that was happening. And I was like, listen, they're like, where are you going to go? You got nowhere to go. I said, no, I can sleep on the street. They're like, okay, go then. Otherwise, you have to do what I'm telling you to do, or you go on the street. So I'm going to go on the street. Thank you very much. And I remember, and
you actually went on the street.
Yeah. So there's like basically Carter Road.
Yeah.
I slept on Carter Road for 3 days. That's just in Bhangra. Right near where the water is a footpath, and I slept on the street. Right. And I remember, and this moment changed my life in a way. Like, how do I explain? It was very, it's hard to put it in words, but like, imagine like you're sleeping on the streets. Forget Canada being homeless. I'm in India, Mumbai, sleeping on the street outside, you know, on Carter Road. And there's a homeless guy who's got like a raggedy blanket. And, he goes to me, sir, right? And it's cold. Like, it was cold at night, right? But, you know, it is what it is. And he goes, do you want my blanket? Because he can recognize that I'm not like I'm not a beggar. I'm not like, you know, I'm not like that. Like, obviously you can tell I'm a foreigner or whatever. And he's like, even he's confused. Why are you sleeping like on the street near me? Like, and he's like, but he offered me his blanket. And I started tearing up, because I realized that this guy has nothing, right? And he's giving me the one thing he does have, right? Out of kindness. Whereas I looked up and I saw all these wealthy people or people of influence and power. All they're trying to do is take. And it made me resent those kind of people to such an extreme that I said, I don't ever want to deal with those people. I never want those kind of people in my life. And I'm good. I'm good with just being smaller than they are. I don't care. I don't need to be like world famous. I don't need to be filthy rich. I don't need it, because with this, and that's what that moment taught me. And after that, I always am kind to people and generous, trying to help. And I've always been like that. Like, even with the course, I'm always like trying to help people, big them up. Whether they appreciate it or not, that's their problem. It's not my problem. It's their problem. And what I got out of it, what made me even more fearless, was I was tested. My principles were tested in India. And I really wanted to be successful in India. I really wanted it. But I valued who I am and my principles more. And I'm not for sale for anybody. And I will not compromise. And all that did, like, ever since that happened, I just kept doubling down on that. And what it's done is it's put amazing people in my life, and it's given me such peace, because there's nothing anyone can do or this life can do that can break me or do anything that makes me want to compromise. Like, what can the world do to me that hasn't already been done or tried? And so that confidence is inside me.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's why I can do an interview like this and not give a shit what the cameras say, what anyone thinks.
Of course.
Or, oh, he swears too much, or he says this stuff. I'll go fuck yourself. I don't give a shit. I'm my worst critic, and I'm my best friend. Me. And that's how I am. And that's why I don't have a lot of the issues that most people have. I don't have them.
Yeah.
Right? Now, should I write a book on it? Maybe I will one day, but, you know.
Why does India, like in this Bollywood market, and let's put the Bollywood market aside, but let's just say India in general.
Yeah.
Why is that industry so dangerous to people from the UK? Because there's so many artists.
It's everybody. It's not dangerous to the UK. It's everybody.
Like, and any artist that goes to India, it seems like they get chewed up and they get spat out. There's been instances with like hardcore.
Yeah.
This is someone who is booming in the UK, went to India, killing it.
Yeah.
And she came back in a really bad state. You know, you've had Juggy D, who's spoken about being put in scenarios and environments
Because you
that
compromise.
was like his weakness.
Because they all compromised.
Yeah.
I don't know personally.
Yeah.
I can only guess that at some point, whoever they are as human beings, whatever they hold of value, was taken from them because they chose to give it up.
Yeah.
And it always starts off small. It always starts off really innocent. It starts off really, really small. Your first compromise. It's so small you don't even notice you compromised, but that's where it starts. And then you give a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then you follow this other path.
Yeah.
And you end up lost, alone, and confused. How did I get here? Because it started from the small seed that started to grow, that you allowed someone to compromise you. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, like I said, I can't speak for them. I can only say that that's how I see it.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't, I can be, like people say, well, you can be very difficult. So that's your problem. That's not my problem. That's a you problem, not a me problem. Because I won't even give this much. And that's the problem. When they say like, well, it's not a big deal, man. Like just do this. Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
No, it is to me. Even this much is a big deal. And I'll never do it.
Yeah.
So go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Get away from me. Go away. And that's what even the people in my life, I'm so strict with who I allow in my life. So that's why I don't have these problems. Like doesn't matter. Even I've left tons of money on the table. I do business dealings, property dealings, whatever, right? I have left tons of money because I choose. I wouldn't say I'm a good businessman. Reason being is because even to say that you have value to me, if I don't like you as a person, or I think you're going to screw me over, or if I think you don't have my value system, or I don't think I can relate to you, I will not do business with you, even if it benefits me in the short term. Even if it does, I won't do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm okay with that. Again, I'm okay with nothing. If I'm okay with nothing, if I get everything, that's fine. Yeah. Whatever.
Do you feel sorry for kind of the women in the kind of South Asian industry who are put in these situations? Because you kind of mentioned the Bollywood scene has it.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to Punjabi industry at the moment, but look how quickly the Punjabi scene has boosted. And you're getting this whole movement there as well of these girls doing their Me Too, saying, you know, directors are doing this, that, and the other. But I can say from what I've seen, this whole Me Too movement hasn't been going on the last, say, 10 years of Punjabi cinema. It's been going on since music videos started, right?
From the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then who told you to become an actress?
Yeah.
Like, I accept the fact that I was never going to be a world famous Bollywood music director. Why? Because it doesn't fit who I am as a person and my value system.
Yeah.
Right? Because of that, I accept that. And I left. If it's incompatible with you, if you're not willing to pay the price, some people are happy to pay the price. Some people are happy to compromise. That's their choice. If you're happy to do that, by all means, go do it. That's up to you. It's your life. Go do it. I'm free choice. Go knock yourself out.
Yeah.
I'm not paying any price. I'm not paying any price for my soul or my principles. Never.
Yeah.
Not for sale, for anybody, for any amount of money or any kind of fame or any kind of anything. Like, I'll tell you something. So I've been going to this gas station off and on for over a decade. This girl works there. She's been working there for a long time. Every time I go in, she always asks me, you want a lottery ticket? This week's lottery ticket? Every time I go. I've been coming here for 10 years. You keep asking me for a lottery ticket. I always say no. Yeah. Why do you keep asking me? She's like, well, can I ask you a question? Why do you always say no? By this time, someone would have bought the lottery ticket. You always say no. I said, because I'm scared of winning. She said, what do you mean? She's like, if I win that lottery ticket, and I buy that lottery ticket from you, and it wins, that means everything in my life, no matter what I achieve, everyone's going to say, you know what? He just won the lottery. Yeah. That all my hard work, whatever I believe in, my conviction, sacrifice, everything means nothing because all they're going to say is, nah, he won the lottery. I'm scared of winning the lottery. That's why I don't buy the lottery ticket. And when I explained that to her, she goes, you know what? You're a very weird person.
Let's kind of move on now to the Punjabi side.
Yeah.
So you went to Punjabi cinema. Back then, it was still kind of growing, right? It wasn't what it is now, where there's a film coming out every single week or whatever. What was that experience like?
Good. Not nearly as bad as Bollywood. So I used to do all the music for Jaidev Kumar at that time, because I think at that time there were younger producers. I think Honey Singh was music directing at that time, just starting out and kind of getting his momentum. So Jaidev Kumar is like, he basically was under Chanranjit Ahuja.
Yeah.
So I was excited. Like, I learned a lot about production, music, and arrangements. You're around the best people.
Yeah.
So my skill set just got better, right? And so we're doing music, and like, overall it was a good experience. I got to meet like I got to work with Harbhajan Man, Gurdas Man. Even I think at one point I even did Diljit's first film song.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah. And then
Diljit's first film song.
Yeah.
This is like Diljit you see now.
Yeah.
Isn't the Diljit that you was working with? This guy was still kind of climbing the ladder, etc.
Yeah.
And it was his first kind of feature film, Jimmy Shergill, if I'm not wrong.
Jimmy Shergill, I think, was Gippy's first film as well.
First film.
Yeah, Milkra Dirabba, yeah.
The song that you put in there was
Dekh Punjabi Munde, yeah. Which was done from Deep and Kamla Punjabi. Yeah.
It was a massive song.
Yeah.
This song, it wasn't your standard Punjabi song. It was literally Diljit, who had like kind of folky voice.
Yeah.
You got his West Coast boys.
Yeah.
And he fused it both together, and it produced an amazing sound.
Yeah.
Tell us about that song.
So they basically they wanted something fresh and new.
Yeah.
Deep, Kamla, and myself were working on their album.
Yeah.
And they wanted a fresh idea. I was bouncing on some ideas. We came across this idea that, okay, that was for a film, right? So I spoke to Deep. He goes, yeah, this is a wicked idea. Go for it, right? And so then we did, they gave me Diljit's vocals, and then I produced the record and then gave it to them, and it blew up.
Yeah.
And then we did a remix version.
Did you ever meet Diljit in that process, or was it just the vocals that were given?
No, I didn't meet Diljit.
Yeah.
They're very careful about keeping everything separate, like in the sense, like I used to hang out at the studios all the time. I was more involved with like stuff like Chak De Javana, that was Gurdas Man's film, Harbhajan Man's album. That was more involved in, but I think like Jaidev liked to record the vocals. Like some artists only want like the music director or in the singer in one room and the studio guy. Like, everyone's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So my stuff was after the fact. Like I got the song, now do the work.
Like I'm going to break down Deep and Kamala on one side, Diljit on the other side, but I want to talk about Deep and Kamala quickly. These were artists again. It's the same story again. Is they come out, they got a hit song, momentum's with them, and they disappear. How did these guys go from like, say, rising? They've kind of a point now where they can go bigger. They're doing stuff which Honey Singh and those guys hadn't even touched yet, which Bacha hadn't touched yet. This is a new team you've built. For me, it's one of the biggest regrets and saddest stories. Yeah. Because we started like, so when I met Deep and Kamla like Sunny 2004, and they were on America's Most Wanted 4. Well, I think which was my last release before I moved to India. Yeah. And we talked about, I said, look, you guys have a wicked sound, wicked vibe. We should do something with this, and we should blow up Punjabi hip hop. And we wanted to really like usher this like scene, like the sound. And this is before, I think Bohemia was just starting out, and it was such a new thing. But I said, no, we can take this to another level, right? And for me, Deep Coles is the #1 Punjabi rapper, period. And I've done like, I must have like 20 plus, 30 plus songs with Deep, right? And so we worked on an album, and then this is around the time when they just blew up Ataf Aslam, right? And they were just starting to work with Mika Singh before, like it was before Mika Singh was huge. They're starting, right? To work with him and blow him up. And so I was involved with all the labels at that time, right? Because it was like 2006 or so, right? And we had the album. We wanted to add another song. So I talked, and they said, yeah, we like the idea.
I said, it's Punjabi hip hop. We blow it up in Punjab. It's going to go. And they go, we need this hit song. So the three of us worked on Sitiman, which I think if you go on YouTube, you'll find the video. Like, it never really got released, but it's out there in the internets, right? And we shot the video and everything. We shot the video for another track, and flew them in, right? And for them, it was like, whoa, we're going to India. Like, this is like crazy. Like, so that was like shocking for them, right? And then the issue that happened was I was there for a bit, so I knew the game, like how it gets played, right? And they were so we got the contract, and what happened was, so the A&R people were like the middlemen, right? And they wanted to get signed. They're like, listen, I can't remember what the amount was, but in the contract it had like our names on it and an amount for advance pay. We never got that money. That went to the A&R guy, because he goes, I want my drink. Like, I want my piece to sign you guys. You guys are going to become stars, but I don't get any of that money. This is my compensation for making you guys stars. So what happened was, when Deep and Kamala were sent the contract, they're like, where's our money? And they were like upset. And I get it. I said, listen, guys, you don't understand, because they're in Texas.
Yeah.
They don't understand, right? How the game works or whatever. And they go, where's our money? I said, dude, like, there isn't any money. It never came to me. It went directly to the guy who's organized the deal, right? And they were like really pissed. I said, listen, they've flown you down. They shot the videos. Trust me, they're going to blow you up. And it's such small money. You guys are going to be superstars after this. Just trust me. Yeah. It's going to go. CTMR is going to blow up. It's going to take over. They're going to put a lot of money behind it. And what Deep ended up doing was, he called up a copyright lawyer, like a music copyright lawyer or a contract lawyer. And that lawyer called up and started saying, this contract, they're putting holes on that contract. I get a phone call from the A&R guy yelling at me, going, these guys aren't even stars yet, and you guys are already dictating and stuff like that. Forget it. Done. It's over. And that was it. It ended. And that is the pivotal moment where, whatever, like, well, I'll tell you what happened after, but like, that was their chance.
Yeah.
If they didn't make if that phone call never happened, they would have been, like, all the three of us would have been the head or launching of blowing up Punjabi hip hop. But it didn't happen. And the person that did do it, who's one of my favorite artists, was Honey Singh.
Yeah.
And all credit to Honey, because he smashed it. Period. And I'm a results guy. He did what I tried to do, which is why I out of all the artists, like, I don't listen to too many artists anymore, but he's one of my favorite, because he did something that I really wanted to do, that I was passionate about, and I just couldn't make it happen. And then me and Deep were always okay. Yeah. And KP, like, I'm like, I talked to once in a while, but it was more like Deep, because Deep was still rapping on my tracks up until Bad Boys, and then Mukra and all these stuff, up until like 2012, like pretty close, like before he passed away, right?
This is what I want to kind of touch on, a touchy subject before we move on. And you mentioned Deep, you mentioned Karan MC, and you touched a little bit on America's Most 104, right? Which we'll talk a little bit about later on. But Sonny Babla, Deep, and KP, sorry, not KP, Karan MC, sorry, all three of them passed away. How does that impact someone like you? Because you grow a relationship with these guys, you make their music, and then suddenly they've now left this world. As in, like, the music stays, but they've now gone.
It hurts. Like, I'm not public with my pain. Yeah, I'm just not. Some people are. They're like, oh! like now everybody cries on social media about anything. I don't do that. I cry by myself. I deal with my pain by myself, and that's just how I do it. I don't care if other people don't understand or are expecting some sort of reaction, or like, Sanj never said anything, or like he should be here. Listen, I handled my pain my own way. When Karan MC passed away, he passed away 2 days before I landed back in 2010 when I moved back to England. And I was heartbroken. Did I see anyone? No. Did I discuss it with anyone? No. I dealt with it myself because my pain. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm doing it myself. When Deep passed away, same thing. We all live with it. And you move on. I mean, there's nothing, you just got to move on in life.
Yes, I Have an Opinion podcast. Its owners and associates take no responsibility for opinions or statements made by Sanj Singh, its co-hosts, callers, or their guests. Yes, I Have an Opinion podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only. It is not our intention to libel, discriminate, or annoy anyone. If you get annoyed, just tune in to something else.